Happy, how are you? YouTube recording, sort of. We're gonna do it live. We're gonna go through it live. If you guys want to post your concerns or thoughts in chat while I read it and discuss it, feel free, of course. What's up, Obi? All right, so let's hop into it. So let's talk about today. I'm really proud of how much the team has accomplished over the last 4 weeks. From work going into the arena, the all-new UI, Twitch integration, regional servers, and even some new features I go into more detail down below. There have been a lot of long days and focused work, and the game has come miles in just the last month. So first, it sounds like the arena, which is Z2, which is the new map, is going to be discussed. The new UI is going to be discussed. So we've seen that there is going to be a new overlay or new user interface that players will interact with that's different from what we have today. We have Twitch integration. So if you guys missed some of the last update, the idea is that Twitch integration will happen to where streamers like myself, like some of the other top streamers as well of this game, can actually tie their name in with their in-game name so that they're all tied into the leaderboards as well. You can find out who streams, who the best people are on the leaderboards, find out if they do stream, and also tie in, hopefully, names and friends and those type of things into the Twitch integration. Regional servers, I think we've probably talked about this a lot, so I won't go too much into that. And there's some more features below that we'll talk about. And there's actually another portion of the page in this area right here, this game update, that we'll talk about. So let's go right into the second paragraph. While we've mentioned that there's a lot of new feature systems and polish coming, I know there's some uncertainty in the community around the September 20th, around September 20th, given that many of these features have not yet made it into the test server for you to get your hands on, explore, and provide feedback on. You are operating in the dark with only our word to go on. There are a lot of reasons why we have not pushed those features to test, but reading all of your feedback made us recognize that we definitely need time to test all of these new features at scale. Basically what they're saying here, guess what, guys? We told you we're going to release the full game on September 20th, but based off the fact that you guys haven't been able to test what we're releasing on September 20th, we're backing off. We fucked up. As I've said before, that quality is our top priority, and that continues to be our commitment. As we work through early access and simultaneously shape how this stage of development is defined, this is me reading into it because this is partly what I do for a living, but reading into it, it means that they don't have real clear definitions of what development is. They don't know when to go from early development to release of a game. That's basically what this statement says. As we work through early access and simultaneously shape how this stage of development is defined, so we're trying to shape how it's defined, meaning we don't have a definition yet. We also have to resolve the best process to develop a quality live game and also keep our community well informed. You have expectations, we have expectations, and we need to make sure those certain expectations are in alignment. So if I look at this last sentence, basically what I read into is what we think is a release game and what you think is a release game are not aligned. Because it's not aligned, we want to go back to early access and get the alignment that we need so that we're not setting ourselves up for failure, but also making sure that the game itself in the hands of everyone else isn't going to think that the game is, 99% fixed or whatever our expectation is for a fully released game. So let's hop into the next sentence, which is sort of the big news that comes out of this producer's letter. It's sort of preemptive by the previous first 2 paragraphs, but let's hop into this one. Ultimately, this means that we're going to let the game bake a bit longer and make sure that you continue to have a voice and are able to provide feedback into the features that you have not had the opportunity to play. We will still release a massive update on September 20th, but we are going to keep King of the Kill in early access at the early access pricing in order to allow us and you to test the features and provide feedback to them. So rather than fully release the game on September 20th, They're going to keep it in alpha or early access at $20. We will continue to listen and read your thoughts and use it to plot the course for King of the Kill to make it as good as we know it can be. Testing the game at scale will be important, and it's not just something that we can replicate within our own walls or even on test servers. We want to be sure that everything is working as intended with you prior to an official launch. It would be unfair to do anything otherwise. I cannot disagree with anything that they say in that perspective. You guys know me. When the whole September 20th thing was announced, I laughed. There's no industry. There's no industry in this world that would release a product without having tested or validated the final product to pretty extreme extent. In the medical industry, you have to do clinical studies and send that information to the FDA, and they approve it. In a consumer world, you don't typically have to do as much, but what you're setting yourself up for failure is if you don't do that testing, the expectation is not going to be met. Either way you look at it, you're only going to meet the expectation of people that have no expectation, and that's not what you want. Oh, we all laughed, for sure. We all laughed. So, like I said, when I heard about the September 20th thing, I definitely thought they could have done it better. Full release was not the answer. I think everybody joked about it. We joke in many streams around the H1 community that this game is full release in 5 days. Giggity, right? I've always said that I think a better option for them, if they really wanted to continue to generate hype and generate marketing value, specifically around the Invitational that's coming up, would be to progress the game from alpha to beta. So if they feel like they've met enough items within their alpha definition that they can move it to beta, then I think that would have been a good opportunity to promote the game as now moving into beta. And I think it would have generated just as much hype. Having the new map would have also coincided with that, but you don't have the same expectation as full release. So I think that would have been the smarter thing to do. Instead, they kind of, there's mud on their face, there's doo-doo on their face because they said they're going full release and now backing off, which is a smart thing to do. It's better to say, hey, look, we fucked up. We're going to go back to really what we wanted, versus the alternative, which is continue and be stubborn and stick with what they wanted and then release a broken-ass game. So we'll get past that. So I'm ultimately, this paragraph right here, I'm extremely excited for. Them going back to the definition of early access is something that I think for the long-term success of the franchise, the game itself, whatever comes of the game, this is absolutely needed. I think this is a big critical decision point that I'm glad that they made this decision. But going back to it, it means that they are going to put a huge update out on September 20th. So I'll look forward to that. And I think some of the stuff that they're talking about in the rest of this update go back to the September 20th patch. So the same live update as previously announced is planned to head to our test servers later today. So this is confirming that our test servers today, September 15th, are getting this update. This update includes an updated version of the arena, which is the new map, the new UI, and a glimpse into the new match scoring, which is a ranking system that they've developed, and Twitch integration. It's an absolutely huge update, and we're expecting to bridge the servers down for an extended period of time. There was actually another tweet in light of this particular paragraph that said to expect the servers down for 24 hours. So nothing really to talk about here other than what they're talking about here in the match scoring is that each individual round of H1Z1 that you play, you will achieve a score. I think do they talk about the scoring a little bit more? They do. So we'll hop into that a little bit later. When we launch, I can assure you that the game will achieve the quality targets we are putting in front of us. A game that is competitive, enjoyable, consistent and fair, and as fun to watch as it is to play. Now this is something that I think a lot of people don't really read into when you first read this, but this is seemingly part of Daybreak's business model for this particular game. Daybreak is doing the best they can to make this a viewed game, a constantly top viewed game, whether it has to be interaction with the community, displaying your skills. They are doing everything in their power to link this game to Twitch or viewership in general. And I think that's key because there are other games, CSGO, I'm not sure if Overwatch has it, but there are other games that link in streams, top streams, into their website to allow it to be viewed. ESEA has it with CSGO. I think there's a lot of games that are out there that have this. It'll be interesting to see how H1Z1 does this, but it definitely has to be a big portion of what they think about, given the fact that they've basically had 2 streamer events at 2 separate TwitchCons. So it'll be interesting to see if they can leverage this. It'll make the game a lot bigger than it is if they can do it properly. I know you want nothing else in King of the Kill, and I know you want nothing else in King of the Kill, and I want you to help us get it. Want you to help us get it there. Now let's get some of the details that we have not yet outlined, but will be included in the patch on September 20th that you will see on the test server starting today. New UI. So we've seen the new UI. We've seen it a little bit in videos that they released when they were at PAX. It's basically a revamped version of what we see today. So it'll make the game easier to initiate and play, including the ability to set your skins prior to match. So rather than skinning within the game, you can set your skins that you want on your items, and as you pick them up, they'll be pre-skinned. An improved and more readable HUD. So what we've seen from PAX is that the ammo and your health is going to be on the bottom portion of the screen in the middle. You actually end up having somewhat of a kill feed in the upper left. Who killed who with what gun. There's a live counter in the top right that's a little bit more visible on how many players are left, the direction you're headed, and I believe there's some other information in the upper right as well. So it basically looks a lot better. I think you could probably find a picture of it if it's out there. But nonetheless, it'll be on the test servers today, it sounds like. So we can expect that pretty soon. I'm really excited for this. I think this is something that they've needed for a long time. It also seems like there's a different container system, which they don't talk about. They don't talk about it, at least in the top level part. Okay, the Scrapyard. Now this is kind of cool. I hadn't heard about this idea until this letter. Part of the new UI is an entirely new grinder experience. We're calling it the Scrapyard. The idea was to make it simple to deal with your duplicate items. So what does this mean? You got 100 different tie-dye shirts that are sitting in your inventory, and it says 100 buy tie-dye shirts. You can break down the duplicate skins into scrap, and then you can use the scrap to get a new item. The new item list within the Scrapyard will be quite large and full of a lot of items out of recent crates. It'll get refreshed each time a new crate is released. The Scrapyard is much easier to use and gives you something to do with those duplicate items should you want to. This was something that pretty early on I was bummed about. I hated opening crates and having to have duplicate items in my inventory, and the only way to get rid of them is to either trade them to an alternate account or sell them on OP skins. But there's some items that you can't sell, they're not marketable, so you just sit there with a ton of duplicates. So this is something huge. This is something I really like. I'll be taking basically anything that I have a duplicate of and basically just going through the Scrapyard, grinding it up and get something new until I keep constantly getting something new. So I really enjoy that part of it. There is going to be new vehicle skins. There's been a picture of it on Twitter as well. So we'll probably get to that. I don't know if it's in here or not, but So next thing, we'll go into the Twitch integration. We talked about this as well. I'm excited to see it in action. Linking your Twitch account and Daybreak accounts is easy and gives you access that you won't find in another game. You can discover new streamers as a viewer or participate with your follows directly in the game as a streamer and see where you place on the leaderboards next to other streamers playing the game. This is just a start for King of the Kill on Twitch, and we plan on extending this integration even further in the future. So the only thing we really know is that within the leaderboards, your Twitch name or your Twitch profile or your link into Twitch will show up. We don't know a lot about it other than this concept. We don't know necessarily what it's going to look like, but I'm pretty excited for that because it also gives me as a streamer a reason to compete against other streamers. You know, for someone like me to talk shit on Zach about his particular ranking for something versus my particular ranking for something, that's the type of like healthy competition that keeps a game going. And by integrating it with Twitch, you're able to link your followers together and be also make them aware of exactly what's happening. So I'm really excited for that part of it. I think that's really cool. Crowns, skulls, and credits. So this one I actually had to read like twice to understand what it is. But basically, they're introducing a new name to the in-game currency. So right now they have Daybreak Cash, right? Daybreak Cash is used by spending real money through Steam to buy these credits, and those credits can be used to purchase crates or whatever else within the game. So now they're changing the cash system to be called crowns. Crowns will be replacing Daybreak Cash as the primary purchasing currency. You will have the option to convert all of your Daybreak Cash over to crowns within the game's launcher. This is specific to H1Z1. This conversion will be 1-to-1, 1 Daybreak Cash for 1 crown. In-game items and crates will remain the same price. That means that crates are $250 if they're unlocked, keys are $250, everything else is all marketable. Just converted into crowns.
You know what I'm talking about.
Gucci, thank you for the host. Hi Jen, how's it going? While credits will be used throughout the normal gameplay, they could be used in the bounty systems to earn skulls. We've included a breakdown of crowns, skulls, and credits in a recent article. So let's go straight to that article. With the major game update rolling out on the 20th, there's some important changes taken to the 3 current in-game items: Daybreak Cash, crate keys, and airdrop tickets. Some of these changes will require you to take some action to your account, so please read carefully. Crowns. Daybreak Cash will no longer be used in H1Z1 King of the Kill after the update on September 20th. Instead, the new currency will be called Crowns. Crowns are unique currency available and only usable in H1Z1 King of the Kill. With Crowns, you'll be able to purchase crates and bundles as you previously did with Daybreak Cash. So it's basically just a rebrand or a rename of Daybreak Cash and making it available to H1Z1 only. Beginning on September 20th, you will have the option to convert all or some of your existing Daybreak Cash into crowns. This is a 1-to-1 conversion. We mentioned that before. You'll be able to convert your Daybreak Cash into crowns from the 20th of September through December 31st. Daybreak Cash is still used in other Daybreak games, including Just Survive. Crowns can only be used in H1Z1 King of the Kill. So that's the key there. It's a King of the Kill currency only. It's part of the game split. I'm pretty sure they're just using it to split up the money and accounting appropriately. As of September 20th, crate keys will be removed from H1Z1. So that means you're only going to be able to buy unlocked crates or not. With the introduction of the new UI, there'll be an entirely new crate opening experience. Since keys are being removed from the game, all keys currently in players' inventories will be converted to a standard unlocked Predator crates. RIP. If you'd like to use your key to open a different crate, you'll need to do that before September 20th. Will there be a quiz? No. You will still need to use crowns to unlock open crates. You can use crowns to purchase unlocked crates after keys are removed. So basically what they're saying is if you receive a crate in-game, you need to use your crowns to open it. Same thing as buying a key, you're just not buying a physical key. if you want to buy crates that are unlocked, you also do that. Instead of buying the key, you buy the unlocked crates if you don't have the crates in your inventory. It's a 250. They've already said that it's going to be 250. What's up, Rifle Stud? How are you? Then, of course, the scrap concept that we went through before. A new way to deal with duplicate skins that will be introduced is to turn them into scrap. Since airdrop tickets are no longer be used in King of the Kill, each airdrop ticket in your inventory will automatically convert into 100 scrap. There you go. So we already reviewed that. So bounty system. This is something new. This is something $2.50 US. $2.50 US. Okay. Bounty system. The beginning of a whole new system will make its debut with this update, the bounty system. The system will start small and then expand over time. On September 20th, you can back your performance in a single match. By doing that and doing well in the match, you can win skulls, the new in-game currency mentioned above. You have the option to back your performance with any of the 3 in-game currencies: skulls, crowns, or credits, with skulls always being the currency that you are paid out in. Rewards may include emotes, character skins, and or vehicle skins. There you go, SB. Vehicle skins as a reward. So essentially, as you perform in a given match, you're going to achieve skulls. So I imagine it's going to be something like you get 1 skull per kill, 10 skulls per win, something like that, right? Whatever the rate is. Those skulls can be then either converted to crowns, which are real money that is mentioned above, or it can be used for other purchases such as emotes or character skins, whether it's skulls, crowns, or within game credits. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. I like that idea because the downside is the one downside I will say about this is, like we've seen with other game modes, the very second that you give sort of exclusive, quote-unquote, monetary value to either winning, especially if it's winning, especially if it's like 10 skulls per win versus 10 kills, whatever that value of skulls is that you get needs to be carefully balanced, because the very first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be dealing with teamers. So people are going to be teaming in order to get each other the skull wins so they can either get a skin or get an emo or whatever that has to be. So they've talked about this in the past, that they're going to be working on a system that doesn't allow people to team in matches. So as long as that system is actually working properly, then I think this system will work well. But in the meantime, I haven't seen the anti-teaming piece so much. So I think that there's probably going to be a slight increase in teaming based off of this skulls type of system, especially if the skulls system provides extra bonuses for wins. So scoring system and leaderboards. This is the one that I'm primarily interested in. If you guys know me, I'm sort of a math and statistics nerd. It's something that I like to do as a hobby and not even part of my job, but I really love to do it. So this has intrigued me a lot, because the way that people like to gain ranks also dictates how people play. Meaning, in CSGO, your rank is solely determined on whether or not you as a team win or lose, which means that people will stack their teams with really good players so that they win more often and boost their rank. In this system, they don't talk too much about the specifics of the math, but it basically says, I previously mentioned a new scoring system within a match. Each time you play, you will receive a score for that match. That's very good. Having the system be match specific versus day specific is very good. That score is based off of your finishing position and number of kills within the match. This is also good because it's one thing to gas camp all day and win and finish number 1 and get to the very top of the daily leaderboards and do it with 2 kills. And it's another thing to sit and play for 10 hours with 200 kills. Those are 2 separate things, yet you can potentially get on a leaderboard doing either or. So that score is going to be a combination based off of your finishing position and number of kills. So it's going to ask you to continue killing while you progress further in the match. Here's the part where I don't necessarily agree with, but we'll see how it works out. It says your top 10 scores will contribute to your overall score that will place you on a leaderboard. What do I find an issue with this particular piece? Well, the issue that I have with this particular piece is by defining the top 10, what's going to happen is people are going to just establish a position. They're going to go out and they're going to get 10 scores. And however the ranking system ends up working, they are going to play in a particular style that's going to benefit that score. So if you, let's say it's a little bit more kill heavy. If you don't get 5 kills right off the bat, you're going to exit out of the game. And that's a problem. If it is balanced, if the scoring system is balanced, then the top 10 score will end up working out. What I would like to see here is rather than it be your top 10 scores, I'd rather it be an average of your scores. So as you look at every single match that occurs, what is the average match that a player goes through? This basically says how well can you play every different style within the game. So that's my only concern, is that they've already announced that it's going to be your top 10 scores. So people, once they establish their 10, they're going to constantly be going for that record to increase their 10, but it actually says nothing about their average, right? The leaderboards are tiered, so it's all about seeing which tier you land in and working to improve your top 10 score, like I mentioned before. This is the foundation of seasons and a competition for rewards within each season based on your score. So this is the nice piece of it. They are doing it like seasons, very similar to CSGO recently and Rainbow Six Siege. So every so often, every year, every 6 months, it'll likely reset and you have to reestablish. It keeps people going for a longer time, which is good for the game, but it also makes sure that your ranks are reestablished. The leaderboard tiers start at bronze, then move through silver, gold, platinum, and diamond, and finally on to royalty. On the 20th, we'll begin testing out the system in the live environment. We want to see how it plays out and balances to see if any changes are needed. From there, we will determine the official start of the first season. So, what's a little interesting to hear is that from the last playthrough that they had at PAX when they showed a video, it seemed as if one of the big things that they went through was points per kill. And one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is they seem to rank points for kills early in the game less than points at the end of the game. Now you may think, well, yeah, that makes sense. When you hop into a game, if you kill a guy that doesn't have a gun, you should get less points than if you're killing a guy top 10, right? Well, the big problem is that part of overall scoring and part of ranking is that you want to keep every kill worth the same amount of points. And the reason why you do that is it allows you, or it incentivizes you to keep going within the game. Again, it adds another situation where if you get 5 kills early on, but don't see anybody for the rest of the game, and you know that those 5 kills are low points, why stay in the game? So remember, it's just a top 10 score. It's not your average. So why would you stay in the game? So that's my concern there. The other concern is that if you get more points for killing a top 10 person, which theoretically makes sense, what you're going to have is a lot of people camping mid-game. They don't want to risk the points that they've developed early on from easy kills until they get to a higher kill point when the points are worth more. So I could see that as a potential issue, given the fact that a top 10 kills may be worth more than earlier kills in the game. All right, let's go into training. We're adding in a whole new training zone for training. It's a version of the arena with no gas and respawning enabled. There is no scoring or match results in this zone, and the idea is if you want to just practice up on some skills, learn the game, or learn the arena, you have a place to do that. This is fucking phenomenal. The biggest issue and one of the biggest skill gaps in H1Z1 today.
Holy shnikes.
Hey, Mantu, thank you for the follow. I appreciate that. Very nice of you. So one of the biggest issues in H1Z1 for especially new players is in order for you to practice, you have to hop into a BR and figure it out against players that have been playing this game for thousands of hours. Thousands of hours. So the whole idea of this mode is people can go in, learn the map, die, and instantly respawn right into the same map. And you can go relearn your loot, learn and practice to kill. It also provides a ground to warm up. And this is something that's incredibly important. This is something that most of the community, especially the community that plays in tournaments, want a way to warm up without just hopping into normal BRs where you only get one life. All clever like. Thanks, Turf, for farting. They should have a penalty for logging. Well, SB, because the scoring system is going to be based off of match, then your match score won't count.
Was that a fart?
So that's the part I completely agree, but I think the easiest way to fix it, SB, is to just make it on an on-game average. Meaning, if you log before getting any kills, that's going to hurt your average versus having to play out every single spawn, right? Tur's got to go to detention now. All right, so training, I think this is one of the greatest changes that they introduced to this whole thing. New UI is great. Going back to alpha versus full release in training is something I really enjoy. The ranking system is for me is yet to be seen. I hope they do a good job. Fort Destiny. So it's basically a rename of the fort. It looks new. I think you guys have seen it. It does have vehicles back in it. Don't really give a shit about Fort Destiny. I'll read it to you guys, but I don't have a lot of thoughts on it. The old box of Destiny has some lovers and some haters. The best aspect of it was the emergent gameplay that came from it. Unfortunately, the aspects of it also annoyed some players given the complete chaos that it represented. Yes, the box of Destiny aids. We hope you welcome Fort Destiny. We re-envisioned it to go along with the arena. It's much larger so players can spread out and run around. If you don't want to be around people, you don't have to be. You can go hide in a secluded area. If you missed the vehicles, I'm happy to say that they're back now, complete with their own area and racetrack for some pregame fun. We've already seen, though, that in the test server, people are just holding down the honking horn for a minute at a time to annoy everybody else that you hardly can't mute. So I think that's a problem still. So I'm not going to go further into it because I don't give a shit. Regional servers and fair play. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. We have now tested in all of the regions that we will support on the 20th. North America, South America, Europe, and Asia Pacific. These will all be up and running on the 20th, and players will default to their closest region. All of the fair play detection will be enabled, including ping and disconnect restrictions. So something to be mentioned here is that ping and disconnect restrictions were already in the game.
Big time.
They were already in the game. They were just set very high. My biggest concern, and this is something that if you're new to the ping restriction concept, the idea is that if your ping to the server is too high, the game will not let you shoot. If you have a ping that's too high for too long, it'll eventually kill you. If you have, it won't kill you, it won't allow you to move. And if you have a ping for way too long and you're in a vehicle, it'll actually throw you out of the vehicle and you can't move. So, with that being said, there's something very, very important to mention. If this is solely based off the idea that the server is pinging the IP of the player and determining how many milliseconds that is, and then locking them based off of that number, this is not going to do anything to support regional servers and fair play. You may ask yourself why. Well, the reason being is that currently players that live in Asia Pacific will ping into US servers using a VPN. This has to do with the fact that they don't have access to the game for their region. By VPNing into the US or EU servers that we currently have, they are selecting a host server that is typically very close to those servers. So they may have a 200 millisecond ping from Asia Pacific to the VPN host, but the VPN host to the actual game server may have a normal looking ping, for example, 50 milliseconds. So if the Asia Pacific players continue to use the VPN to play on US servers, then they will be allowed and never be detected by the ping system if the ping system is solely based off of IP. So, for those people that have established their position in US servers, those people that have gotten used to the US server feel for them, or those people that simply want the advantage, which there is a huge ping advantage for people that play with high ping in this game, they are going to continue to play on VPNs, and they're going to be playing outside of their region. This is going to lead to lower populations of players in their appropriate region, which causes a big issue where more people will move to the populated servers. So, I'm very hesitant to say that this is going to do anything to fix the issue that is 300 ping players playing in US or EU servers. So as much as there's an update on it and that there's a new server coming out, I don't know that anything is actually going to happen. Don't you complain about my Pacific bastard ass. Listen, hey, I'm just letting you know. Here's something amazing. This is something that we've been asking for a long time. We hadn't really heard whether or not that they were going to do this. We kind of heard that they thought about it, but they have to do it a certain way. Whatever it was going to be. The team follow cam. When playing 2s or 5s, if you die before your teammates, you will now follow your surviving teammates in a locked third-person camera so you can continue to track the match and your team's progress. This is perfect. So if I'm playing 2s with Gooch or I'm playing 2s with Jen and I die first, Jen or Gooch can, and I die first, I can watch Jen or Gooch from their third-person view the whole time. In 5s, it allows you to do the same thing. The key here is that they've said that they're going to lock you into the third-person camera. The beauty of this is that it prevents ghosting. One of the concepts that came up is that if you have a team cam, you cannot have the normal spectate cam, which is the cam that allows you to move around throughout the whole game. You have to have a scenario where the camera is locked. Otherwise, you can do something called ghosting. If you had a free cam, you can perhaps go across the street, find out that there is a person in a building, tell your teammate while they're still alive, hey, there's a guy in that building, and he can go kill them. by locking them into a third-person camera, hopefully directly behind the player, not allow you to free look. It allows you to watch their progress, watch the rest of the game, learn from their teammates, maybe talk about strategies, those type of things together, but not actually ghost. Yeah, it's locked on the person, doesn't allow free look. Okay, now this is a lot of information. I'm gonna read through it and then give a summary. There's a list of the changes we are making to the game based off of improving UI flows and the ease of playing the game. All of our early access players should be aware of these changes and what they mean. Crowns, as mentioned above, Daybreak will no longer be using Daybreak Cash. I'm not going to read that. Keys, they're removing keys. You guys heard that. Keys will also be removed in Just Survive, it says that, but there'll be a different one. Airdrop tickets will be converted. Loot bags, here's one. The idea of loot bags are going away. If you have a loot bag in your inventory, it'll be converted into a mirror image of itself as an unlocked crate. This is so the new UI can handle it as a crate within your inventory. So all of the loot bags that I never opened, my mystery bags and elite bags, all that stuff, will become a new crate. You'll be able to do everything that you would normally do with an unlocked crate. You have the same shot as contents within it. It'll show up as a crate in your player's inventory. Thank God I saved those loot bags and didn't open them. Minor gameplay changes, a few minor gameplay changes to talk about as well. The initial gas ring will now be displayed 1 minute faster. 2 minutes into the match is all you're gonna have to loot, and the first ring will be displayed slightly larger in diameter. We wanted to increase the early tension, but still make it reasonable to find the first ring. Explosive arrows. The explosive arrow recipe is being tweaked, and now it takes just one frag grenade along with other components to create a bundle of explosive arrows. One explosive arrow does a lot less damage than one frag grenade to keep it well balanced. At this moment, I don't really see any use for explosive arrows. What could be interesting with this, though, is that it makes team games a little bit different. I don't see this being a huge issue in solos, but if you get a Lone Pine spawn or the equivalent of a Lone Pine spawn in the new map, where you could typically find explosive arrows and also be able to craft because nobody else is going to bug you, you might have a ton of explosive arrows near the end, which can decimate any vehicle. And if you drop them at each individual tree, you can a lot of times get the advantage by people hopping out from behind that tree after they just took explosive arrow damage. New default settings. All the graphic settings have been revamped and rebalanced. This update will reset all default options. If you were using custom options, you'll need to reset those after the update. Character server wipe. Finally, we will also be wiping all character servers for King of the Kill on the 20th. This means all of your character names and stats will be wiped out to accommodate the new UI and other changes to the game. This does not affect your account name or anything associated with the account. All of your in-game items will still transfer over as those live within your account, not your character. Bye-bye leaderboards. Bye-bye leaderboards. And then we'll follow it up at the very end. The team is working like crazy, or is working crazy hard right now, is making tremendous progress each and every day. Things are getting to be quite exciting. We will communicate this out more clearly when we get closer, but we are planning on extended downtime in order to support the release on the 20th. Right now, we are looking at 24 plus hours of downtime in order to get everything in place and tested. Thank you all for your feedback and support, especially the dedicated players on tests. There we go. So expect that on, what is this? On Tuesday, September 20th, the game will be down for 24 hours plus. So if the game is not up, I'll be streaming something else. But guys, I definitely wanted to go through that. It's something that I wanted to break down, something I liked, something I didn't like across the board. Give you guys my feedback on what I think about the different changes, why it might change the way you play H1Z1 today, but most importantly, make you guys informed about what this is all about. That took me 40